If the Marder 1A3 overheats, it stalls. If it's even a little low on antifreeze, it stalls again. Breaking down in the middle of a mission? Not exactly ideal, but do the Marder's strengths make up for the glaring weaknesses of this aging warrior? Let's hear it straight from the front lines. In Kursk Oblast, they worked like a mower, destroying buildings where the Russians were hiding. If it wasn't for such equipment, I don't know if I would have taken the village of Malaya Lokhnya. Here's what that firestorm looks like in action. Ukrainian paratroopers demolish a house full of Russian soldiers using the Marder IFV's cannon in the Kursk region. The result? 5 months later, the Russians still haven't been able to push Ukrainian forces off their own territory. But before reaching this level of success, Marder 1A3 crews went through intense training and combat drills at German training grounds. Afterward, they returned to Ukraine to pass on their knowledge to fellow soldiers. What's impressive, and what German instructors report, and I've seen it myself several times, is how quickly Ukrainian soldiers adapt to the system, how fast they learn, and how technically skilled they are. It's impossible to overstate. Drop a like on this video if you're also impressed by soldiers' dedication. Here's how one Marder 1A 3-gunner recalls the training process and working with experienced instructors. It's tough for the gunner to learn. This is my workspace. I control the turret left and right, can rotate 360 degrees. Ammo is loaded here. This is the key we use to load it. The instructors train us well. They help. They explain everything. Once the intense training was over, all the soldiers, along with their German IFVs, headed straight into battle. Waiting for them, mines, ATGMs, and Russian FPV drones. As practice shows, Western equipment and weapons are a top priority for Putin's army. And here's proof from a Ukrainian soldier who was on a mission in a Marder 1A3. They throw everything at it. Every time we roll out, we get hit by full salvos of Grad rockets. Sometimes they mistake it for a Bradley, and then all hell breaks loose. This isn't an isolated case. Russians often fire an entire Grad rocket salvo at a single IFV. We highly doubt their Soviet-era MLRS can match HIMARS in accuracy, but they try to compensate with sheer volume. That's Grads coming in. For some reason, they really don't like us, and we fired back at them a little. Luckily, not a single rocket hit its target, and the soldiers made it out alive. We all got out in one piece, picked up the infantry, and got them to the evacuation point. Since Ukrainians deploy the Marder with their air assault troops, the ones breaking through Russian defenses, the crews have to push dangerously close to enemy positions. That's a massive risk, as they can hit a mine or take an RPG round at any moment. Here's how one Ukrainian soldier recalls Marder's role in an assault. We broke through enemy lines, launched the assault, dropped off the troops. Then we pulled back while firing. Then we went back in with covering fire, picked up the guys, and got out. That crew completed their mission successfully, but the next one came terrifyingly close to disaster. Ukrainian forces were using the Marder alongside a tank, taking out Russian positions before sending in infantry. Everything was going fine until the Marder hit a mine. We rolled out as a tank Marder pair. We were defending Novorodivka. The plan was to work together, but something went wrong, and we hit an anti-tank mine on the asphalt. Big thanks to German steel. Entire crew successfully evacuated through the ramp. Once again, this proves that in Western armies, a soldier's life is valued more than the vehicle. And that rule applies whether it's cutting-edge tech or something built back in the 60s. Just compare how Russian and Western forces treat their troops. Look at this BMP-3 that hit a mine and took an FPV drone strike. It's burning from the inside out. Now, here's how the German Marder handled a similar challenge. It took 5 Russian FPV drone hits. Imagine the level of impact. Sometimes a single one of these drones can disable a tank. Unfortunately, the vehicle was lost, but not a single Ukrainian soldier died. It can take an FPV hit. The drone doesn't burn through it completely. The first and second armor layers hold it back. That's how effective this armor is. When soldiers know their vehicle is built to protect them, their motivation to complete the mission skyrockets, even when they're outnumbered and outgunned. Here's proof. We got right up to the tree line and opened fire on an enemy assault group. After that, our infantry just had to clear the area and set up defenses. If you want to hear more first-hand accounts from combat crews, make sure to subscribe to the channel. At first glance, the Marder 1A3 seems like the perfect assault IFV. Ukrainian soldiers' stories confirm its effectiveness in many ways, but things aren't always as they seem. Let's break down its firepower, armor, engine, and other technical features. The Marder 1A3's biggest strength is its cannon and machine gun, which provide fire support during combat. What's happening right now? We're firing the cannon at targets. First, we take a ranging shot, then adjust and fire in bursts. The The 20mm cannon fires armor-piercing rounds at blistering speeds. Rate of fire, 1,000 to 1,200 rounds per minute. Here's how one soldier who got to test the Marder's firepower describes it. We calibrated the sights, locked onto the target, and hit it dead on. And this is what the fire control panel looks like. Simple, ergonomic, and intuitive. This is your main control panel. Pretty straightforward. MG stands for machine gun. MK is the 20mm cannon. Easy to figure out. 2 ammo boxes here, one for HE rounds, one for AP rounds. The ammo is stored right behind the crew. There's also a safety indicator showing how many rounds are left. There are 2 ammo boxes. The top one is AP, the bottom one is HE. 2 belts run behind us, one for each type. To keep the cannon and machine gun running smoothly, they need to be properly maintained and serviced on time. It depends on the weapon's lubrication. If it's graphite-based, it can jam. If it's gun oil, it fires smoothly. Aside from maintenance, the manufacture of the ammunition also plays a big role. Better quality means a lower risk of malfunctions. It also depends on the ammo manufacturer. If it's from an unfamiliar producer, jams happen more often. Compared to Soviet or Russian guns mounted on IFVs, Ukrainian soldiers noticed a clear difference. It's easier to operate, easier to load, fewer malfunctions, and the rate of fire is way better. Another thing Ukrainian crews appreciate is MARDER 1A3's soundproofing. Inside, gunfire isn't deafening like in older IFVs. In the troop compartment, you barely feel the cannon firing. You can sit there comfortably without needing headphones. The second, and arguably the most important advantage of the MARDER 1A3 is its armor. Proven to save lives not just on paper, but in real combat. First, it's dual-layered. Second, there's a protective capsule inside. So even if the outer armor gets penetrated, the capsule keeps the crew and troops safe. Concussions happen, but at least we stay alive. The rear section where infantry disembarks is also well designed. The rear ramp is additional protection for the vehicle. It shields the crew and infantry. It can withstand hits from 14.5mm rounds fired by Russian BTR-80s and BRDMS. But good armor comes at a cost. It makes the vehicle much heavier. For comparison, a BMP-1 weighs only 13 tons, while a fully loaded Marder weighs 34 tons. Speed is crucial for an IFV, whether charging enemy positions or extracting troops. A BMP-1 has just 300 horsepower, a Bradley has 500, and the Marder boasts 600. However, the weight of its armor creates a power-to-weight imbalance affecting its mobility. 31 miles per hour. Max speed is 40, but only if you push the tachometer to the limit. At that point, it's guaranteed to overheat. And then, we're not going anywhere. As you can see, the engine struggles under the weight. But honestly, we'd rather sit in a well-protected vehicle than turn into scrap metal like so many Soviet-era IFVs. This engine hasn't been upgraded or replaced since the first generation. They just slapped it on the vehicle and called it a day. Meanwhile, they kept adding armor. If I'm not mistaken, the first Marder weighed 20 tons, and now it's 34. Another challenge Marder crews face in combat is muddy terrain after heavy rain. The vehicle doesn't handle mud well. Either the engine or the transmission can't keep up. For its weight, they're just too weak. There were times we had to pull it out. Luckily, an American ally came to the rescue. We got towed out by a Bradley. Bradley pulling a Marder? Kind of funny considering Bradley is actually a bit lighter. The Germans are known for their attention to detail, and it really shows in their military vehicles. Just check out these small but thoughtful features on the Marder. The tracks have rubber pads. This way, the vehicle can drive on roads without tearing them up. The next little feature is a lifesaver for anyone riding on top of the armor. The Germans thought of small conveniences like these anti-slip rectangles. Thanks to them, you don't slide off. Trust me, in winter or fall, when everything's covered in mud, it gets insanely slippery. But with these, you feel much more secure. And the third one? A nice touch for the driver. Rear-view mirrors for better maneuvering. You probably didn't even notice, but the mirrors have been here the whole time. Even with its age, the MARDER 1A3 has proven itself in battle, especially when compared to its competitors in the IFV category, BMP-1, BMP-2, and BMP-3. A Ukrainian paratrooper sums it up. Right now, we could really use more MARDER 1A3s. This is the best version, and it works well for us. So, what do you think? Which IFV has the best chances in an assault? Germany's Marder 1A3, America's M2 Bradley, or Russia's BMP-3? Drop your thoughts in the comments.